What's going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley, and earlier this week, Drone Delivery Canada released their Q1 financial statements for 2022. So in this video, we're going to review those statements. I'm going to bring you the highlights, and I'm going to share with you my opinion. If you get any value out of this video, remember to click that like and subscribe button, and let's jump right in. Okay, so Drone Delivery Canada, just in case you're not familiar, trades under the ticker symbol FLT in Canada, TAKOF in the USA. They're headquartered in Toronto. The price is 51 cents as I film this video, and that gives the company a market cap of roughly $114 million. This is their logo underneath, and their website is dronedeliverycanada.com. You can do all of your due diligence and research at that website, or you can take a peek at some of my other videos. I've made several videos about this company, and they're all on my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. But to start us off here, let's just take a look at the recent updates since my last video when they released their annual financial statements. Let's just talk about what has happened since then. So the first thing here is they actually received an award, which is really nice. On May 2nd, they won an Excellence Innovation Award, which is kind of cool. Doesn't really mean a whole lot operationally, but it is really nice to see that they're getting some recognition. And then they also announced a collaboration with Bell for 5G multi-edge computing initiatives for drones. Basically, it sounds like they're incorporating Bell and 5G into their software and into their avionics to provide better positioning and navigation, something along those lines. It doesn't sound like it has a massive impact on the business, but it's probably just an improvement in some of the technology and some of the softwares and some of the communication. So that sounds really nice. Sounds pretty good. Not a huge number of updates, not a whole lot has happened since that last set of financials has come out, but some good updates here. Both of these announcements are fairly positive, and if you want to see any of the financials or any of these press releases, everything is available on cdar.com. I will put a link in the description down below, but I am pulling only public information here, and everything that I'm showing you is available online. Now, let's start off with the balance sheet. So just at a first glance here, the company has $24.3 million in cash and cash equivalents, and they only have $1.89 million in total liabilities. They have like 10 times as much cash as they have in total liabilities. This is a very healthy balance sheet, especially at first glance. They do have a deficit though. This is how much money the company has lost so far, which is not great. They do have a little bit of a hole to get out of before this gets to zero, and they do have deferred revenue here. Now, deferred revenue is money that they have accepted for customers, but they haven't yet rendered the services, and as of right now, it sits at $325,000. Unfortunately, this is down from last quarter by about $70,000 when it was at $396,000. And so the deferred revenue, meaning future revenue that the company has already booked, is declining, or it has dropped in the last quarter, which is not a good sign. That's kind of the one drawback that I see about this balance sheet. I would really like this deferred revenue number to be increasing, because that means that the pipeline of confirmed sales and confirmed basically customers is getting bigger and bigger instead of smaller and smaller. So that's the one thing that I would point out here on the balance sheet. I want that number to get bigger and increase over time. Now, when we take a look at the income statement, it's kind of mixed results, because this quarter compared to the same quarter last year, the revenue was actually down. So not a great sign there. We lost less money compared to last year, but the revenue was down. However, this quarter compared to the last 2 or 3 quarters, the revenue is starting to climb back up, which is really nice to see. So kind of mixed results here with regards to the revenue. The advertising and promotion has also dropped significantly from $1.2 million to $38,000, which is very nice to see. The personnel expenses did increase though from $1 million to $1.6 million, which is not great. And the share-based compensation also decreased pretty significantly from over $600,000 to $118,000, which is again nice to see as an investor here. Now, they're currently burning about $3.5 million per quarter based on the last quarter. They have exactly $24.3 million of cash in the bank, but they owe about $1 million in trade and other payables. They have about a year and a half, maybe 2 years of runway left with regards to cash reserves if they keep continuing at this pace. So that is something to keep in mind as an investor. Unless they really start to ramp up the revenue here, they're probably going to need to raise money at some point in the future. Now, one thing that I was really looking for here in this recent update was information about the Condor, and I read through the entire section in the management discussion and analysis about the Condor, and honestly, there was no real update in there. There wasn't a whole lot of new information in there, and there wasn't really any time timelines in the management discussion and analysis, and it also mentioned that they were having some challenges with the electrical and avionics. So here you can see, however, the company encountered some technical challenges with some of the onboard systems, including the electrical systems, servos, and other avionics that caused some delays on the development and engineering of the Condor prototype. That is not a very good sign. That's not really what you want to hear. And it's a little bit of a concern. And based on my analysis of what they're putting out in this management discussion and analysis, they're trying to keep the expectations fairly low. And so there wasn't a whole lot here. So I tried to do a little bit more research, and I actually found an interview that the CEO, Steve Majurius, did. And one of the researchers questioned him about the Condor. Here is a link to it right here. It's by stattimes.com. And his response was really, really interesting. He said, "Our objective is to perform client demos with the first prototype machine in the late summer or early fall timeframe. Once the development is complete, we aim to have our first commercial project next year. We are working closely with Transport Canada on what's necessary to certify it and have it authorized, which will be critical." And it was this last sentence here that really stood out to me, because Steve is saying that they're going to need some additional certifications with Transport Canada, but I directly asked the former CEO, Michael Zara, about this last year, and here's what he had to say. Maybe you can't answer this, but can you tell us if it's your testing that it needs to pass or the regulators' testing, or both?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and there's a lot of confusion around that. So I'm happy you asked. So it's really our testing. So for the intended initial routes, which will be in remote rural areas, I don't think we'll see the Condor flying downtown Toronto anytime soon. But for the intended routes, which are rural and remote, it does not need type certification from the regulator, who's Transport Canada in Canada. So it's really our testing that needs to be completed. And when we are happy with the testing and the completion of that testing, then we'll obviously be able to implement projects and fly commercially.
So I'm going to leave that video with you and let you interpret that however you want, but let's move on to their quarterly results. So as you can see, like I mentioned, compared to their last 3 quarters, the revenue had actually increased here, which is nice. The net income, or loss in this case, has kind of remained flat. It's a little bit up and down from 3.7 to 4.4 and down to 3.0. Last quarter it was 3.5, so kind of in the middle there. Feels like they're burning anywhere from 3 to 3.7 per quarter, and their total assets, as you can see here, is slowly dwindling down. This is when they raised money about 1.5 years ago, maybe 1 year ago right here, and then ever since then the total assets has slowly dwindled down. And so the revenue is increasing, but it is going to need to increase exponentially faster if they plan to not need to raise money in the future. Now, this is the budget that I pulled from the management discussion and analysis, and here you can see the 2022 actuals so far versus the entire yearly budget. And most of the numbers seem fairly on track. Maybe they're a little bit ahead of where they should be, but the one that really stood out to me here is commercial testing. They have already spent $606,000 of the $700 that they had allotted for the entire year, and we're only about 130 or 140 days into the year, and so they have already used a significant portion of this budget. And I do expect this part here to go over budget just based on the current trajectory. So that is something to keep in mind here. It's good that they are spending so much money on commercial testing, but it would also be really nice to see how that money is progressing and give us a couple more timelines with regards to the Condor, or at least in the management discussion and analysis. A little bit more context around this number would be kind of nice. Now, when it comes to the stock chart here, there's not a whole lot of positive things to say about it, except for the stock is kind of cheap. So if you're looking to get into it, it could be a good price. But as you can see, we had a major run up here in 2018, and then the stock just slowly trickled out until another major run up here in 2021, and then the stock just slowly trickled out. And you can see this gigantic spike in volume right here when the drone industry had the entire world's attention. Everybody was trading drone stocks, and then ever since then, the volume has just slowly dwindled out. And this is not great, because lower volume usually means less demand, and less demand usually means lower prices. Now, when we zoom in here a little bit, you can see it's still a pretty bearish trend. We don't have a whole lot of positive signs right now. We're not even breaking through our moving averages, and we fell through this kind of major level of support that you can see right here. We may have established some new support at 48 cents here, but as of right now, it is not a strong level here, and we're trading just barely above it at 51 cents. So me, as of right now, I'm in kind of a holding period on this stock at the moment. Now, here are my final thoughts. I like this company. I really like what they're trying to do. I've been following them for a while, but unfortunately, I am struggling to find good news because it kind of feels like there are a lot of projects that were announced and we have not had any follow-ups, we have not had any updates, and it's really tough to see the progress in this company. One or a couple of examples of this are the deal that they announced with Ford last year. They also had partnerships that were operating in India and Kenya that were signed a year to 2 years ago, and I just haven't seen or heard any updates about any of these projects, and it doesn't feel like we're making a whole lot of progress on some of the other projects like the Condor. So that's what it feels like from an investor side. Maybe it's just me. If I'm totally wrong and you feel completely opposite, please leave it in the comments down below. Let me know what I'm missing here. Maybe I missed an announcement or something, but that's just kind of what goes through my head here. However, on a positive note, the revenue has been increasing over the last 3 quarters and the balance sheet still looks very, very healthy. They have a good length of runway ahead of them. If they can start to put some real revenue numbers on the board, I think they've got a great opportunity ahead of them. And I still like the business model. I still like everything that they're doing. And I really, really like the concept and the mission behind the business. Now it just comes down to execution. But if you guys are interested in getting some free stocks and some free crypto, check out the links in the description down below. There's a link for Wealthsimple that will give you 2 free stocks when you open an account. There's a link for Noon that will give you $25 completely free when you deposit $100 onto the platform. So it's literally a 25% ROI instantly. You can't go wrong there. And Virgo CX will also give you $30 when you do the exact same thing. Definitely check it out. You can make some easy and quick money just by opening some accounts. All of the links are down below, as well as the CDAR link if you want to see where I pulled any of this information from. And Drone Delivery Canada, I have reached out to you several times for an interview. Please let me know if Steve is available. Steve, if you're watching this, I want to bring you on the channel. Let's have a chat. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm right. Tell me what's happening with the Condor. Let's have a chat about it, and we'll chat with you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you later.